Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, taking a live look right now at 8:20 in the morning at the White House, of course. And then also we have a beautiful shot of the U.S. Capitol building, as well as today's coverage this morning will actually take us to a time zone that's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:20 p.m. in Munich, Germany, as the Vice President, J.D. Vance, is there for the Munich Security Council Security Conference, the Munich Security Conference, and also the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, alongside the Vice President there in Munich. Now, prior to that, the two leaders met with Vladimir Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. So a lot of things being done in the direction of hopefully a peace deal and a halt to that war between Ukraine and Russia, as you take that morning look there on this Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to you, as we see that beautiful blue skies there in Washington, D.C. So again, we'll be seeing the Vice President speak at the Munich Security Conference a bit later this morning, within possibly 10 minutes. He's scheduled to speak in about 9 minutes, so we'll see if everything is on time there. Also, this is on the heels of, again, the two leaders meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Prior to this trip to Germany, the Vice President and his family were in Paris, France. They saw the Notre Dame Cathedral there, which was obviously a place that was mostly destroyed from the rooftop about 5 years ago. And if you remember, President Trump, of course, was out there when there was the opening mass and service that was happening after being closed for some time. But J.D. Vance, the Vice President, and his family touring the cathedral as well, and now are in Germany. So we'll go there live as soon as that happens. Now, stateside at the White House later, President Trump will sign more executive orders before heading to the winter White House in Florida tonight. So on top of all that, the stories we're following, obviously tomorrow, President Trump saying that at noon Eastern time, Hamas has until then to release the hostages. If they don't, the president said that all bets are off. We'll see what that may look like, whether that's tomorrow or in the near future. I'm sure the president has been in touch with the Prime Minister of Israel, who just visited the White House very recently. As you guys know, 4 foreign leaders to the White House in less than a month of his first, of the second presidency for President Trump. So quite interesting to see all of the global policy, the foreign policy happening. But again, the foreign policy, the first part of it is to make sure the American citizens' interests are at mind and heart. And it's America first within those frameworks of different decisions made throughout the world. So speaking of the globe, again, it's about 2:23 p.m. in Munich, Germany. That's where we're going to go live here in just a bit to hear from the Vice President, J.D. Vance. Also, a bit later in the broadcast, since today is Friday and since there's this talk back and forth about Gulf of America, RSBN's Ashley Brassfield will join us live from the Gulf of America in Florida a little bit later. It's going to be great to see the water that is now the Gulf of America. And that is something that, of course, all news agencies should be calling it, because it has been changed by the president, the Department of Interior, and others. So it is definitely the Gulf of America. So looking forward to seeing that a bit later. We'll get to some more about the confirmations so far that have happened for cabinet positions and the ones that need to be also advanced and awaiting confirmation. We'll go through that list that the rapid response team at the White House just put out last night. So we'll go over that in just a minute. Before we move on, I'd like to thank and tell you about this great sponsor, the Colonial Metals Group. Now, Colonial Metals Group has that retirement warning, the urgent warning, because at the end of the day, even as President Trump stands up to China, we're told billionaires are fleeing Wall Street. So you see one of them right there. We're talking about, of course, Warren Buffett, who dumped $133 billion in stocks. But we trust these experts because at the end of the day, gold, silver as a backup plan is definitely the way to go. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. This is all how to bulletproof your IRA and 401k with gold tax-free. So it's always good to start out the process with a freebie. Now, I think that's really smart in business, to be honest, and this is what you get. So you get a free info kit, so freegoldguide.com. You get this, you'll learn all about Colonial Metals Group. A bit later today, Robert McNeely will be in studio, and he'll have an interview with Paul Stone, the founder and CEO of Colonial Metals Group. That interview may air today or in the near future, but still always good to hear from the person that runs the company, especially Colonial Metals Group. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN. It's 8:25 in the morning, about 5 minutes away from the scheduled speech for Vice President J.D. Vance in Munich, Germany. Once again, this is for the Munich Security Conference. You're looking live, of course, at the beautiful U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. on the blue sky. Wonderful morning after all of those storms ripped through the area, whether it's in the Northeast with snow, and then if you go a little further south, maybe that mixed bag of precip. But then down here in the south, of course, got hit pretty hard with some severe thunderstorms, 40-mile-per-hour gusts, and tornado watches as well. But now, blue skies here in the south. I'm seeing blue skies in the northeast. And for those of you way out west right now, it's only, I think, 5:26 in the morning, so the sun's not up yet, but I'm sure it's going to be blue skies there as well because California usually has those beautiful blue skies. So looking forward to seeing the president a little bit later today. There's a chance of seeing him twice. One is he'll be signing executive orders from the White House. That's slated for 1 o'clock. We'll see if that's a live feed or if that's something that will come to us recorded. We'll be able to upload that to our channels and our platforms. And also, if it's something we can take live, obviously, we'll do that. And then we'll see the president a bit later tonight, Air Force One from the Joint Base Andrews, taking off towards Florida, of course, and possibly even seeing Marine One from the South Lawn take off to go to Joint Base Andrews. So looking forward to seeing all of that. On top of that, the president, of course, will be in Daytona Beach, Florida on Sunday for that Daytona 500. So it'll be quite awesome to see him there. And I'm not sure if he'll say, gentlemen, start your engines, but maybe he will. But I believe that the great Cadillac, that beast, that presidential vehicle, will be that front pace car leading all of the stock cars there. So it'll be quite awesome to watch that as well. All right, so let's get into some details about the confirmations so far already in their posts right now for their various cabinet positions. And again, as soon as the Munich Security Conference live feed pops up and we see the vice president, we'll go all the way to Germany. Again, it's about 2:28 p.m. in Munich right now. So there are many great confirmations so far, of course, in President Trump's cabinet. So what we can do is go over them and then also go over the ones that have yet to be confirmed. So we see that a number of them are already taken care of when it comes to a huge list that you can see on the rapid response page. But here are the 7 that have not been confirmed yet. So obviously, Kash Patel at the FBI, that's moving toward confirmation. The U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Elise Stefanik out of New York, waiting for that to be confirmed. The Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon. The Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez de Reamer. The Small Business Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, and the U.S. Trade Representative, Jameson Greer. That is it. Those are the last 7 people to be confirmed. Once they are confirmed, that's a 100% score for President Trump when it comes to everybody he appointed to a certain cabinet or a secretary position is and will be in their role. And then from there, all operations are a go when it comes to this government. I mean, we're seeing it already now through President Trump's leadership, but to have Kash at the FBI heading towards cleaning out anything that's corrupt there. But at the end of the day, we know that there are many within the FBI that do a great job. It's called law enforcement, right? If it's state, local, federal police, and that kind of thing. These are good people. However, we know that there was some corruption at the FBI when it comes to the top people there. And also, that's why we have Pam Bondi at the Attorney General's office at the Department of Justice. Also, the Secretary for Commerce, Howard Lutnick, great person that has everything together when it comes to the economy, trade, tariffs, a good friend of President Trump, of course, many decades of business experience at top levels in New York City and elsewhere. So a great pick there for the Secretary of Commerce, someone who really understands not only domestic policy, but foreign policy when it comes to everything trade, tariffs, and the economy. The U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Elise Stefanik, of course, recently, we've seen over the past few years, her being such a staunch supporter of the president and all of her America First policies and values that she brought to the state of New York, now bringing that to the United Nations, hopefully to clean up a bit of the UN as well. There's more to say about the UN, of course. We'll leave that for another day, but great to see that Elise Stefanik will be representing us at the United Nations in New York City. The Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, the former SBA, so she was the Small Business Administrator during the first Trump administration. She will now work with the Secretary, she'll be the Secretary of Education, which will mean that it looks like all of the education system will be going back to the states. We'll see and follow that here at the network on what that exactly will look like. The Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer, and the Small Business Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, and then the U.S. Trade Representative, Jamison Greer, to round out the 7 people there that are in the right positions and about to be confirmed in those various positions. Of course, the SBA with Kelly Loeffler, shout out to all the small businesses out there as a huge economic driver for this nation. I believe it's about 60 to 65% of our GDP and our wealth here comes from small businesses. I heard that from Bruce Lavelle, a great senior advisor and friend of President Trump as well. So looking forward to seeing all these positions filled as we get ready to go to Munich, Germany to see Vice President J.D. Vance. Before we do, let's thank and talk about MyPillow.com. Of course, a mega sale there. You see Mike Lindell. All you have to do is use the RSBN promo code. You'll get a huge discount off of a number of great products at MyPillow.com. You can save up to 80% off of everything on the site. So again, it's up to. So not everything is 80% off. It's just up to 80%. There's various percentages off throughout the site. More than 2,000 products there. Great products. And even if you maybe got a couple gifts for your loved one for Valentine's Day, maybe just order something else and then give it to them next week and say, I just wanted to continue Valentine's Day. Not bad, right? So mypillow.com/RSBN, great sponsor, of course, at Right Side. All right, so it's 8:32 Eastern Time. Again, 2:32 out there in Munich, Germany. Getting ready to get that live feed as soon as the Vice President steps to the podium in Munich for this Munich Security Conference. We'll hear his entire speech live. Also, again, if you're just joining us, this is on the heels of both the Vice President and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, meeting with the Ukrainian President, Vladimir Zelensky. So that's on top of Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, meeting with the various people in Russia. So there's a lot going on right now to see this peace come to pass with Ukraine and Russia. And then, of course, President Trump, a staunch supporter of Israel and the peace and safety of the Middle East and globally, for that matter. But, of course, protecting this land and our Constitution and not forgetting our God as well, as he said on January 20th, 2025. So we'll be hearing from the Vice President today. And as we get the feeds and various feeds later, I believe we'll be hearing from President Trump from the Oval Office for various executive orders that will be signed. Quite the interesting day the other day with Elon Musk making an appearance in the Oval Office. And then just yesterday, Howard Lutnick on his way to becoming the Secretary of Commerce there to President Trump's left when he was holding a press conference about that reciprocal trade situation with other countries. So it was great to see all of the people that are really involved in various departments, whether it's the Department of Government Efficiency or the Department of Commerce, standing right there with the president. This isn't just because President Trump has to fill some random cabinet positions. It's definitely not even close to that. These are serious positions, of course, in the executive branch, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody continue to work and help the American people. And they're indirectly helping themselves too, because they're part of the country as well. They want our country to remain rooted in the Constitution and to continue to have freedom across this land. And if there's ways that we can help with freedom for other countries, that doesn't have to do with nation building and all this other stuff that maybe happened in the past, but hopefully getting the right leaders in the right positions across the world as well. Now, that is just an opinion of mine, that it's great to see people like Viktor Orban in Hungary or Javier Milei in Argentina and others that are pro their people. So looking forward to hopefully seeing as many secure elections globally for the right leaders to be put in office. Again, Jair Bolsonaro would be great to be back as a president of Brazil. Nigel Farage would be great to be a prime minister of the UK. Now, that might be a pipe dream, but at the end of the day, all things are possible. We just saw what President Trump just did, a huge comeback as he is the 47th president of the United States. And it's great to see that photo of Donald Trump, the photo of 45, then you see this other guy here, and then you see 47, Donald Trump again. So it's awesome to see that. We're going to go over some more news in just a second, but let's also talk about some great sponsors here at the network, RepublicanRed.com. All you have to do is go to RepublicanRed.com for more information on great selections of wines. If you're ready to toast the golden age of America, whether you prefer white, red, or sparkling, Republican Red Winery has patriotic wines your friends and family will rave about. So a lot of good reviews with this company. So you can be sure to check out the iconic 45 to 47 Pinot Noir. You also have that great sparkling wine there, the 45-47 as well. Actually have them here in studio as well. It's 8:36 in the morning, so interesting to hold a bottle of sparkling wine, but that's all good. It's a great sponsor, but also a great taste to this, and also the red blend right here, the Republican Red Special Edition. So if you'd like to get that, all you have to do is go to RepublicanRed.com and use that RSBN promo code. All right, let's talk about some other things here at the network as we await the Vice President, J.D. Vance. Again, we're keeping our eye on the confirmation for the FBI Director, Kash Patel. Looking forward to seeing that passed through the Senate. Not sure specifically at this point if that's something that's happening today or if it's happening maybe over the weekend or on Monday. We'll just keep our eye on when that happens. And then, of course, from the Oval Office earlier this week, President Trump gave Hamas until tomorrow at noon to release all hostages or all deals are off. And then again on Sunday, President Trump will attend the Daytona 500. Speaking of Florida, if you're just joining us now, the Gulf of America, right? So we've got our RSBN host, Ashley Brassfield, live at the Gulf of America at 10:30 this morning. Let's get ready to go to the Munich Security Conference right there as we see a live picture as we get ready to see the podium. And then we'll be tossing it there to Munich, Germany. Again, it is 2:38 Pacific, 2:38. And there's J.D. Vance. Let's go to Munich, Germany.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all the gathered delegates and luminaries and media professionals, and thanks especially to the host of the Munich Security Conference for being able to put on such an incredible event. We're, of course, thrilled to be here. We're happy to be here. And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, of course, our shared values. And, you know, it's great to be back in Germany. As you heard earlier, I was here last year as United States Senator. I saw Foreign Secretary David Lammy and joked that both of us last year had different jobs than we have now. But now it's time for all of our countries, for all of us who have been fortunate enough to be given political power by our respective peoples, to use it wisely to improve their lives. And I want to say that, you know, I was fortunate in my time here to spend some time outside the walls of this conference over the last 24 hours. And I've been so impressed by the hospitality of the people, even of course, as they're reeling from yesterday's horrendous attack. And the first time I was ever in Munich was with my wife, actually, who's here with me today, on a personal trip. And I've always loved the city of Munich, and I've always loved its people. And I just want to say that we're very moved, and our thoughts and prayers are with Munich and everybody affected by the evil inflicted on this beautiful community. We're thinking about you, we're praying for you, and we will certainly be rooting for you in the days and weeks to come. Now, I hope that's not the last bit of applause that I get, but we gather at this conference, of course, to discuss security, and normally we mean threats to our external security. I see many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values, we must live them. Now, within living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider the side in that fight that censored dissidents, that closed churches, that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War. They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes, to invent, to build. As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected. And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizen suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat. And in the interest of comedy, my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer in the public square, agree or disagree. Now, we're at the point, of course, that the situation has gotten so bad that this December, Romania straight up canceled the results of a presidential election based on the flimsy suspicions of an intelligence agency and enormous pressure from its continental neighbors. Now, as I understand it, the argument was that Russian disinformation had infected the Romanian elections. But I'd ask my European friends to have some perspective. You can believe it's wrong for Russia to buy social media advertisements to influence your elections. We certainly do. You can condemn it on the world stage even. But if your democracy can be destroyed with a few $100,000 of digital advertising from a foreign country, then it wasn't very strong to begin with. Now, the good news is that I happen to think your democracies are substantially less brittle than many people apparently fear. And I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still. Which, of course, brings us back to Munich, where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations. Now, again, we don't have to agree with everything or anything that people say. But when when political leaders represent an important constituency, it is incumbent upon us to at least participate in dialogue with them. Now, to many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, it looks more and more like old entrenched interests hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation, who simply don't like the idea that somebody with an alternative viewpoint might express a different opinion or, God forbid, vote a different way or, even worse, win an election. Now, this is a security conference, and I'm sure you all came here prepared to talk about how exactly you intend to increase defense spending over the next few years in line with some new target. And that's great, because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger. But let me also ask you, how will you even begin to think through the kinds of budgeting questions if we don't know what it is that we are defending in the first place? I've heard a lot already in my conversations, and I've had many, many great conversations with many people gathered here in this room. I've heard a lot about what you need to defend yourselves from, and of course that's important. But what has seemed a little bit less clear to me, and certainly I think to many of the citizens of Europe, is what exactly it is that you're defending yourselves for. What is the positive vision that animates this shared security compact that we all believe is so important? And I believe deeply that there is no security if you are afraid of the voices, the opinions, and the conscience that guide your very own people. Europe faces many challenges, but the crisis this continent faces right now, the crisis I believe we all face together, is one of our own making. If you're running in fear of your own voters, there is nothing America can do for you. Nor, for that matter, is there anything that you can do for the American people who elected me and elected President Trump. You need democratic mandates to accomplish anything of value in the coming years. Have we learned nothing that thin mandates produce unstable results? But there is so much of value that can be accomplished with the kind of democratic mandate that I think will come from being more responsive to the voices of your citizens. If you're going to enjoy competitive economies, if you're going to enjoy affordable energy and secure supply chains, then you need mandates to govern, because you have to make difficult choices to enjoy all of these things. And of course, we know that very well in America. You cannot win a democratic mandate by censoring your opponents or putting them in jail, whether that's the leader of the opposition, a humble Christian praying in her own home, or a journalist trying to report the news. Nor can you win one by disregarding your basic electorate on questions like who gets to be a part of our shared society. And of all the pressing challenges that the nations represented here face, I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course it's gotten much higher since. And we know this situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place? It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker, often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction? No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what they did vote for? In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration. Now, I happen to agree with a lot of these concerns, but you don't have to agree with me. I just think that people care about their homes, they care about their dreams, they care about their safety and their capacity to provide for themselves and their children. And they're smart. I think this is one of the most important things I've learned in my brief time in politics. Contrary to what you might hear a couple mountains over in Davos, the citizens of all of our nations don't generally think of themselves as educated animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy. And it's hardly surprising that they don't want to be shuffled about or relentlessly ignored by their leaders. And it is the business of democracy to adjudicate these big questions at the ballot box. I believe that dismissing people, dismissing their concerns, or worse yet, shutting down media, shutting down elections, or shutting people out of the political process protects nothing. In fact, it is the most surefire way to destroy democracy. And speaking up and expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. But what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered. Democracy rests on the sacred principle that the voice of the people matters. There's no room for firewalls. You either uphold the principle or you don't. Europeans, the people, have a voice. European leaders have a choice. And my strong belief is that we do not need to be afraid of the future. Embrace what your people tell you, even when it's surprising, even when you don't agree. And if you do so, you can face the future with certainty and with confidence, knowing that the nation stands behind each of you. And that, to me, is the great magic of democracy. It's not in these stone buildings or beautiful hotels. It's not even in the great institutions that we built together as a shared society. To believe in democracy is to understand that each of our citizens has wisdom and has a voice. And if we refuse to listen to that voice, even our most successful fights will secure very little. As Pope John Paul II, in my view, one of the most extraordinary champions of democracy on this continent or any other, once said, "Do not be afraid." We shouldn't be afraid of our people, even when they express views that disagree with their leadership. Thank you all. Good luck to all of you. God bless you.
All right, there you go. Live feed from Munich, Germany. It is 8:57 a.m. here on the East Coast, and also about 2:57 in the afternoon there in Munich, Germany. Again, the Vice President speaking at the Munich Security Conference. A great speech saying citizens are now encouraged to report thought crime, and in Britain and in Europe, freedom of speech, he says, I fear, is in retreat. A quote pulled from the speech by Jack Posobiec, who actually is on the European trip. He'll be with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, in various countries in Europe. So again, Secretary of State Marco Rubio also in Germany. So the Vice President and the Secretary of State overnight, early in the morning, of course, out there in Germany, meeting with the President of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky. So we're seeing that our country is meeting with the Ukrainian leader, and then, of course, Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, meeting with the Russian leadership. So we're hopefully seeing that peace between those two nations, hopefully around the corner. On top of that, since we're speaking about foreign policy and conflicts around the world, President Trump said tomorrow at noon, Hamas has until that deadline to release all hostages or all bets are off. So we'll monitor these various stories as we continue our live coverage here at now about the top of the hour, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Of course, that was the Vice President speaking at the Munich Security Conference. Prior to that trip to Germany, the Vice President was in Paris to visit Notre Dame Cathedral, again with his family there. And shifting gears back to stateside, today is the 25th day of President Trump's second term. 25th day, and a lot has been done in just 25 days, with many more to come for our country. We know President Trump will be signing more executive orders at the White House in Washington, D.C. We'll see which EOs that they will be. Recently seeing Elon Musk at the Oval Office, seeing the incoming Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, there as well for various press conferences about the reciprocal trade and tariffs. So it's great to see each of these people that are the head of these departments right there with the president as they work with their teams to make America great again in all these different areas of our country. So awesome to see that. Also, we do have something a little bit later today in our RSBN Live broadcast, working out a live or recorded, we'll see, from the Gulf of America with RSBN's Ashley Brassfield. So that'll be great to see that a bit later in the broadcast as well. As today is Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to you out there. Also, let's go over a number of the confirmations in President Trump's cabinet so far. You can see that 16 people have been confirmed, everyone from RFK Jr. to Pete Hegseth, of course, Pam Bondi. The White House says there are 7 people awaiting confirmation. So there's 7 more, including Kash Patel at the FBI, Howard Lutnick for the Secretary of Commerce, the U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Elise Stefanik, the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez-DeRemer, and then the Small Business Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, and rounding out those 7 great people, the U.S. Trade Representative, Jamieson Greer. So once those 7 people are confirmed and at their posts, it is all go for our government when it comes to fully having everybody in place. And President Trump's appointees and nominees for all these posts are official. So we have 7 more to go, 16 already through and at their posts. So that, according to the rapid response from the White House on X just last night, a great list. And that's what I like when it's the common sense list of information of, okay, so we have 16 already through, we have 7 more to go. Good news on this Friday, February 14th. As we work as hard as we can, we pray, we believe that great things will continue to happen in this nation, especially for the next 4 years and hopefully beyond here in the United States of America. So all of this brought to you by various sponsors, including Colonial Metals Group. If you'd like to get a free gold guide, all you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com, as there's an urgent retirement warning. Now, as President Trump stands up to China, we have a number of people, including billionaires, fleeing Wall Street, including Warren Buffett, who dumped $133 billion in stocks. But we trust the experts right here at Colonial Metals Group. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com, and you can learn how to bulletproof your IRA and 401k with gold tax-free. So again, as I mentioned earlier, it's always good to start out with a freebie to get you seeing what exactly a company is about or what a person can do for you. Well, this is what you can get here, a free gold guide. So just go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. All right, so it's 9:03. Good morning to you. 6 o'clock out there on the West Coast. Glad you're joining us right now live on RSBN, and a lot of coverage today, various coverage, including President Trump signing executive orders later in the day. And then we'll also have coverage of the Air Force One from Joint Base Andrews, as President Trump will board the plane, head to the winter White House, of course, in Florida for the weekend. But a lot still as a working weekend, as you've heard from the president on the South Lawn before boarding Marine One, saying we're going down there. It doesn't mean we're not working. I mean, sure, play some golf. You know, he gets time to rest just like anybody. But the point is, he's always working on something, as you guys know. And it's just what's in him. It's just part of what he does. And it's great to see that because, again, he said yesterday or earlier in the week that tomorrow at noon, Hamas has until then to release all the hostages or the deals are off. All bets are off, he said. So we'll monitor that story. And then on Sunday, more of a recreational type trip, but a great trip because he'll be going to Daytona 500. He'll be there in front of all of the fans, NASCAR fans, enjoying that great race. And then, of course, seeing President Trump there a loud roar. I can almost already hear it from Daytona right now, even though we're still 48 hours away from that great race in Daytona. So following just a lot, of course, with Doge, we're seeing a lot of great receipts just on the daily. I mean, there's many receipts of all of these expenditures that are going to ridiculous various things around either our country or other countries, and Doge is just showing what's going on and cutting a lot of all of this wasteful spending and fraud and abuse, according to the president. So we're seeing that on a regular basis. Great to see that as well. I didn't want to get into this next subject, but I will, because I was thinking about it this morning and I thought, well, the White House Correspondents Association is very interesting because at the end of the day, most of the people that are involved with that Correspondents Association are left-leaning journalists. These are people that it's just a club, you know, and it's something that's formed there, and it's good on one front for freedom of speech and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, there are a number of things that happen within the Correspondents Association that is all anti our country. The president of and I'll just say one more thing about it, the president of the White House Correspondents Association is a chief White House editor at Politico and also appears on MSNBC as a contributor. Enough said. I don't think President Trump will be going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Just saying, he didn't do it in the first administration. I don't think he'll go on the second one, but who knows? Maybe he will. But it's good to see conservative media and new media within the White House press corps as a whole, generally speaking. I don't believe there are anybody from the conservative media a part of the White House Correspondents Association. I'm not there in the press briefing room. I don't know specifically, but I don't think there's anybody that is a part of that association. Again, just a bunch of people that sit in that front row of that White House press briefing. Well, at the end of the day, it's the people's house. So I think conservative media should have the front row. Why not? Why not switch around a little bit? Do you have to always sit in that one spot? Okay. Enough of the venting there on that issue. 9:07 a.m. Let's go to Tax Network USA, great sponsor here at the network. 800-357-1415. You can settle your back taxes today if you'd like. Also, can get on a program to work on taking care of any back taxes. So 800-357-1415 is the number. tnusa.com/RSBN. A great sponsor here at the network, but definitely really good to know that you have financial peace of mind working with the Tax Network USA. And all you have to do is give them a call and just kind of they'll walk you through, okay, so if you missed this year, and they have a plan for you. And it's always good to have a plan moving forward, especially when it comes to finances and settling back taxes. Information right there on your screen, 800-357-1415, as it's 9:07 Eastern Time. And other headlines, of course, we're following. The Florida Representative Ana Paulina Luna earlier this week announced a federal secrets declassification task force. Great to see a number of declassified records so the people of America know what's going on or what has happened in the past to be able to have that revealed. This is a president and an administration that there's a number of one-word adjectives you can describe it as, but also you can also describe it with a verb of transparency. This is a transparent administration, whether it's the Oval Office, the East Room, the White House press briefing room, the Doge Department of Government Efficiency, and on. We're seeing just a lot of great developments throughout government as well. So let's go with this. We know it's about 9:08 right now Eastern Time, so we're going to talk a little bit more about some various stories we're following here at the network. And then, of course, we'll thank some sponsors and continue on a little bit later with RSBN Live. As we know, again, Ashley Brassfield, the RSBN host, will be live today from the Gulf of America. How awesome will that be just to see one of our RSBN hosts down there at the Gulf of America? Of course, we'll have a lot of our crew up in D.C. for CPAC coming up as well. So, and all the cameras that we have now when it comes to the access to live cameras, including what you saw at the top of the broadcast from Munich, Germany. Of course, that was the Munich Security Conference where Vice President J.D. Vance did not hold back. He really went there when it comes to freedom of speech and mass migration being an urgent problem. So it was a great speech. If you didn't see it, you can just scrub back or just watch the replay a little bit later. But Brightcore, a great sponsor as well, mybrightcore.com/RSBN. If you buy 2 of these great Kimchi One products, you get 1 free. It's a probiotic. It's great for gut health, great for your immune support, anti-aging properties. This probiotic kimchi is really well researched by Kim Bright, the owner and founder of Brightcore. So this is one step in the right direction of making America healthy again. That is the second step right now, because we saw what just happened yesterday as RFK Jr. is now the Secretary of Health and Human Services, the king of Make America Healthy Again. So great to see that, and great to see products like this, Brightcore. This is a great step in the right direction as well. Of course, diet, exercise, we all know, and trust me, I know I need to do more of that, but having a product like this one right here, mybrightcore.com, a great product here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it's 9:10 a.m. Let's do this. At this point, we're looking at a number of various topics to discuss, including President Trump saying that there's billions of dollars of fraud, waste, and abuse has already been found in the investigation of our incompetently run government. So Doge is out there doing great things. We've got hopefully the Secretary of Commerce will be confirmed right away. Howard Lutnick ready to go for this country, for the economy and tariffs and trade. And it's wonderful to see all of these people that are in the right positions right now. 16 people have been confirmed. 16 people of President Trump's choice are in their cabinet positions. 7 still have to be confirmed. We'll follow all of those. Just to remind you, for those of you just joining us, Kash Patel at the FBI, Howard Lutnick at Commerce, the ambassador to the UN, Elise Stefanik. These are people we're waiting for to be confirmed. Linda McMahon at the Department of Education, Lori Chavez DeRemer, the Secretary of Labor, the Small Business Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. So waiting for all of that to happen, looking forward to it as we continue on our live coverage here at 9:12 this morning. You're looking live at the beautiful skies of Washington, D.C. You see the U.S. Capitol building there and the White House on the bottom right of your screen. Blue skies pretty much throughout at least the Northeast and in the Southeast right now. If you are watching from anywhere in the Midwest, or we're waiting for the sun to come up out there on the West Coast as well, but go ahead and send us a photo if you'd like, whether it's on Truth Social or on X, or also if you'd like to reach out to us, if you have any just feedback at rsbn.tv. All right, so let's go to the Trump knife as well when it comes to patriotaddictdeals.com. You see there, RSBN30 is the promo code to have 30% off these great items that you see on the left side of your screen. You can also go to that QR code. But if you go to patriotaddictdeals.com, and if you love MAGA, which I know a lot of you do, all you have to do is go to patriotaddictdeals.com, get some of the memorabilia and some of the gear that's out there. It's very cool to have this kind of stuff, especially as Robert put it yesterday, he's creating a whole man cave of MAGA stuff. So it's kind of cool that he's doing that. And also, it's just great to see so many various products on patriotaddictdeals.com. That limited edition Trump combat knife, of course, we're showcasing today here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's go to some other information that we're following here at the network. As we know that this weekend, quite a busy weekend, even though it is, we're looking forward to the weekend. I know many of you are. It's been a very long week of great things happening in our country when it comes to all the executive orders, all of the press conferences, and all of the transparency that's happening in our nation. We look forward to seeing that throughout this entire administration, and that's what happened during the first administration. But right now, it seems that the transparency levels are just peaking, and they're going to continue to be at that level as we continue to see the specifics of why things are being done or why things are going in a certain direction. Because those 20 core promises that the president and the RNC has promised the American people, every one of them are common sense leadership policies, America First policies. and they are all great. I mean, how can you go against wanting to seal the border and cutting down on crime and having more law and order? How can you go against making us energy independent again, or go against having even more secure elections? I mean, the whole thing in 2024, too big to rig, that's great, but we want to be able to have such fair elections as well, just moving forward. We don't have what happened in 2020 ever again. So we know that we're seeing so many great things. How about number 7 out of those 20 core promises? Defend our Constitution. And that leads me to a point where, if you just remember just the speech that President Trump had on January 20th, it's a quote that I've read a few times now, but I like reminding either myself or you, because at the end of the day, remembering that President Trump is saying, this is what this is all about, what I'm doing. And this is on whitehouse.gov. And I'll read it from my Truth Social here. Those of you that are on Truth Social, if you'd like to follow Right Side Broadcasting Network, it's at RSBN. More than 1.5 million people following on there. And then on X, more than 1 million as well. So it's at RSB Network on the great X website platform as well. So President Trump said on January 20th, of course, in everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. End quote from that building right there, January 20th, some 25 days ago, inside that U.S. Capitol building, the Rotunda. President Trump shared that wonderful speech there to the American people. Let's also shift gears and go to one of our other sponsors as we continue on with live coverage here this morning. As we know earlier as well that the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky met with 2 of our leaders here in our government, the Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So it's great to see that hopefully we're seeing a peaceful move between Ukraine and Russia immediately, so we can stop what President Trump has always said, just stop the killing, bring peace through strength. Let's get this done. So we're seeing that happen, and actions speaking louder than words, left and right for President Trump and the team there. So let's go to Colonial Metals Group as well. So go to freegoldguide.com for more information, as the urgent retirement warning from Colonial Metals Group as well. Even as President Trump stands up to China in various ways, we're told billionaires are fleeing Wall Street. So Warren Buffett, who you see on your screen, dumped $133 billion in stock the other day. I mean, that's just quite huge amount of numbers right there. 133 billion in stocks. But you can trust the experts here at Colonial Metals Group. So can we, because at the end of the day, these are great people, and these are people that are selling an awesome product. And having that financial backing with gold and silver, and learning more about how to bulletproof your IRA and 401k with gold and silver, it's something that's been around, right? We've always known that gold and silver are high in value. Well, it's good to have a company that you can get a free info kit right here by going to freegoldguide.com and just get more information on how to do this, how to diversify, and how to take care of business there when it comes to financial peace of mind and any retirement or any kind of extra amount of savings that you may have. It's good to always diversify, and especially with gold and silver. So freegoldguide.com, as it's 9:18 a.m. here on this Friday, February 14th. Again, happy Valentine's Day to you. Let's go to mypillow.com, mypillow.com. All you have to do is use that promo code RSBN, get a huge percentage off, up to 80% for various products, more than 2,000 products on mypillow.com. The great Mike Lindell, of course, doing great things for our country there. RSBN is the promo code, mypillow.com/RSBN. All right, so what we're going to do now is we'll wrap this live stream as we get any breaking news, whether it's from inside the Beltway in D.C. or outside the Beltway, and if it has any national implications or even international, we will bring that coverage to you, just as we did this morning with Munich, Germany, to see the Vice President, J.D. Vance, speaking at the Munich Security Conference. We'll bring you that live to you as we get any more information for when President Trump will be signing these executive orders a bit later today. So for all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, stay tuned with us on Truth Social, on X, on our website, on our app. We'll see you soon. For all of us at the network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll talk to you later.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Families across the nation have arrived at a heartbreaking crossroad to surrender their beloved animals at alarming rates due to inflation and soaring costs of living.
There are so many overcrowded shelters. So many dogs need a home, but it's all of us working together to solve this crisis.
This fight requires both doers and dollars. Join us at Big Dog Ranch Rescue. Please sign up today.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed, because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.